welcome to Clement Book Review. I got a surprise book to review today. It's all about investing. This is an investment book, and I wasn't ready to review this book yet. But the fact that the way the economy is now and the whole coronavirus, and no one know what is coming up next or what is going to happen in the whole world, I think it's a great time to review this book because if anybody's interested in investing, as anybody knows, this probably be the best time to start investing. We all know the coronavirus is bad right now, but everything must pass on. Everything ever happened in this world moves on. If anybody remember 2008, it passed. If you know Warren Buffett, then you know that he's one of the best investors at all time. And if you want to invest just like Warren, this book right here is for you. This book is exactly how Warren Buffett invests as the person that wrote this book. He will tell you himself that this book is just copying exactly what Warren Buffett does. What they call the rule one of investing, value investing. This book is for anyone who is looking to start investing. And this book is so basic that anyone can learn from this book, from the beginning to the end of this book. Everything is basic. It teaches you how to calculate PE ratio, how to find the value of a company, anything you need to know about the stock market, the basics to the advanced. This book contains it. What book am I talking about? Warren Buffett and his partner, Charlie Munger, has influenced a lot of investors. If you want to learn from the best, you go to the best and you learn from them. This book is based on them. Warren Buffett was compounding 12% to 30% each year. How does Warren Buffett invest that he doesn't lose money most of the time, but mostly making money? We are just about to find out with this book here. I'm going to talk about this book a little differently today. With this book, a couple of years ago, I think 2-3 years ago, I started looking for investment book to read because I want to get in the stock market. And when I found some books to read about it, I decided to look for a podcast to listen to, something that will help me learn. And I came across this podcast called Invested, and it was about a dad and a daughter doing this podcast. And then from the first one I listened to, I noticed the dad was teaching the daughter how to invest. And the daughter asked really, really basic questions that as a first-time person listening or as a first-time person trying to get into investing, you'll find out that most of these questions will apply to you. It was pretty easy as she will keep asking questions until the dad break everything down into little chunks for anybody to understand, even as a beginner. So the more I start listening to this podcast, I look forward to it every week to listen to this podcast. And then one day they announced that they're going to come out with a book. So this book was written by the daughter and the dad together as how the daughter sees investing. And then she goes on from day one, how she experienced it, how she learned to do all the calculations and everything is in this book. So what book am I talking about? The book is called Invested, how Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger taught me to master my mind, my emotions, and my money with a little help from my dad. The book was written by Phil Town and Danielle Town. So who is this book for? Are you looking for financial freedom? Then this book is for you. Are you looking to learn to invest in the stock market? Then this book for you. To invest for yourself and not hand the money to some fund manager who will put your stock in 100,000 different stocks that you have no idea what you're investing in, then this book is for you. This book will teach you anything about the stock market, how to start investing, and it's very basic too. Like I said before, the dad is teaching the daughter how to invest. So everything is really, really basic. It starts from the basic stuff that most people won't teach you because it's just so basic that people just think you're automatically supposed to know about it. But this book, that's really basic. It starts from the beginning. And it teaches you everything you need to know about the stock market. So in the stock market, I'll suggest also that you download Invested, the podcast, from anywhere you can download podcasts from and you listen to it. Because most of the stuff in this book, they also talk about it on the podcast. And it's the same teachings that is in the book. It's mostly what they talk about on the podcast too. Probably a bad time to talk about finance right now. As we all know what is going on around the world, the coronavirus pandemic and everything going on. And people are probably wondering when their next rent or their next meal is going to come from. But at the same time, what we must know is it's already here and it's nothing we can do about it. But wouldn't it be better for you to come out of this better than even it's when it started that you thought you were doing okay? You know that when events like this happens, that's when most money change hands and new millionaires are made. How are these new millionaires made? Because they position themselves as they don't see what is happening, but they start looking at the future. They say when preparation meets opportunity, that's when luck happens. Don't you want to be one of the lucky people to come out of this? The book is basically based on Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger ways of investing. And it's a reason why they are compounding annually, anywhere from 12% to 30% over and over again. Warren basically invests in things that he understands. So when Microsoft first came around and Bill Gates came to him and asked him if he would like to invest in his company, he told him that, what can the computer do for me? And then Bill Gates told him, well, you can do your taxes. He said, well, I don't make enough money to do taxes. So basically, he didn't invest in Microsoft, even though it became something so big. The point is that he didn't understand Microsoft. That's why he didn't invest in. Warren Buffett learned his kind of investing that is called value investing from Ben Graham. Over the years, he simplified it with the help of his partner, Charlie Munger. He brought down investment to buying a $10 bill for $5. And how exactly do you buy a $10 bill for $5 in the stock market? He always talk about sitting patiently and waiting for an event to happen. He said event happens every 5 to 10 years. And the coronavirus right now is something that he would call an event that he can start buying. This book, Invested, is a 12-month plan for financial freedom. It basically is, it starts from January to December. That it's a practice that you practice a little bit each month, just so it doesn't take a toll on you and you don't feel overwhelmed about studying all this thing at one time. So it's been broken down from January to December. That each month it talks a little bit about the stock market, what you need to do to prepare yourself. I'm only going to talk about 5 chapters in this book. Like I said, it starts from January to December. I'm only going to pick 5 just to keep this video not too long because I don't want to sit here like basically reading the book for everybody here. I'm just going to summarize 5 of the chapters, and anybody who's interested in this book will find a link in the description where they can buy it and read the book themselves. And also don't forget to subscribe to Phil Town and Danielle Town's podcast, where you will get a lot of information from too if you are willing to learn this investment. So what is value investing? Value investing is buying a $10 bill for $5. And value investing is mostly investing for the long term. So if you buy the stock with the intention that you're going to keep this stock for 10 years. Warren Buffett always said he wouldn't touch a stock unless he's willing to hold on to it for 10 years. And he also explained that the reason why he doesn't lose money most of the time is because he's patiently waiting, buying something worth $10 for $5. So even if it goes down another 50%, it's back to where he bought it from. So he's still not losing no money. Compared to if you bought it for $10 and it went down $5, it's gonna be worth $5. You already lost $5 of your money. That's half of your money you already lost. But because you waited patiently to buy it at $5, everything is priced in the market. Basically, if you buy something half the price, that means some event have happened, everything is priced in, and the chances of going down from there is very small. So the only way most of the time he's going to do is go back up to the original price. Principle number 1, and that happens to be chapter 1, January. It's all about being brave. Being brave. Your January practice is being brave. And being brave is all about preparing your mind to know that investing in the stock market is a good chance you can lose money. But if you follow the value investing and invest in the long term, your chances are better making money than actually losing money. Principle number 2, and that's chapter 2, February. Knowing your number. Your number is very important because that's a number where you want to buy the stock at. Let's use Apple for example. Let's say today Apple's stock price is $100, but you did your work and you calculate everything. You look at the balance sheet You look at their asset, how much money they own, and everything balance out to $50. So you think the value of this company is $50 because you did your numbers, that's what your number tells you. But right now the stock is at $100. What you do as a value investor is you wait for an event like what is happening today. That way, when the stock gets down to the number you want to buy, that'll be the $50. That's when you go all in and you buy it if the story is still intact. What I mean the story is still intact is that nothing bad happened to Apple. It's just the fact that the event happening right now made it come down. So you know eventually it's gonna go back to $100. So you're getting a 50. And the only way the stock is gonna go is most of the time it's gonna go back up if the story is still intact and nothing has changed. Because that's where the transit value is, $100. Point number 3 is chapter 3, March. Voting for a mission with your money. What that basically means is that, say you are against tobacco and you have your money, you want to buy something in the stock market. Are you going to vote with your money and buy cigarette companies that you don't believe in, that you believe it give people cancer or it kills people? Or are you going to buy something that you really believe in, knowing that it help other people? Another good example is, are you going to vote for a company who move all their factories to a different country so they can pay people cheap money and have child labor? Or you're going to vote with your money for a company which operates in your country and sell the things to in your country, also helping to create job for other people who don't have a job in the place where you live? So voting for your money is all about voting with your money for what you believe in. Principle number 4, chapter 5, and that is May. Charlie's moat and management. What does moat means? Moat is a competitive advantage over any other company. What is a good example of a moat is, say, let's use a bridge. Say only one way to get to a place is you have to cross a bridge to get to the other side from point A to B. And the only way to get there is that you have to pay for the toll. So that'll be the toll route moat. Meaning that the only way you can get across is that you have to pay the toll. You have no other way around it, and they can always raise the price whenever they want. There's nothing anybody can do about it, because if you want to get over to the other side, the only way is you have to pay to get there. Such companies normally always do good because they can raise prices anytime they want. And that's what Charlie and Warren look for when they're buying a company. So if you can find any company that has a moat, a competitive advantage over other companies, that another example can be the brand moat. And when it comes to cell phone, you can compare Samsung to Apple. People just like buying Apple because the name of Apple and what Apple does. Most of the time, Samsung does the same thing Apple does, but people just like the brand name Apple, so you just end up buying Apple all the time. Some people will tell you, I can never go Android because I'm an Apple person, and you got some people saying, well, I can never go Apple because I'm an Android person. So the brand mode works sometimes too. So when buying a company, you have to look for those kind of competitive advantage where they have over the other people, other company, that will help them keep up pricing power. So I was only going to do 4 principles, but I got to do November just because it's my birthday and it's important what it says there too. I think it will help a lot of people. That's why I'm going to talk about it. Bonus coverage, principle number 5, when to sell. I think when to sell is very important because people buy stocks and it will go up or it will go down and they have no idea when to sell the company they bought. And sometimes it has to do with being greedy. Like the price will keep going up and they feel like, okay, I bought it for $5, it's $10 now. In the back of their head, maybe we'll get to $15 and I'll sell. Then we'll get to 15, they're like, oh, maybe if it got to 15, it can get to 20. And people start getting greedy. And they don't really go back and do the research to see that the story is doing. Let me put it this way. This is a really good example too. How do you drive your own car compared to when you get a rental car? When you drive your own car, I'm sure that you look for all the potholes to go around it. But when you drive a rental car, well, nobody really take good care of rental cars at all. They would just drive that car to the ground just because they don't own the car, they don't have to repair it. The same way when you're picking a stock, you gotta find a good management. You find out who's running the business, if they're gonna run it to the ground or they're gonna do a great job. Warren Buffett once said, find a company that the mode is so great that even a monkey can run the business and it will not run it down. So that's it for this book, and I really like this book. If you're a beginner or even if you have a lot of experience, this book could be a great read for you. Learn something new because they say your mind is just like your muscle. You gotta exercise it. Like always, I'll leave the link in the description to Amazon if you want to pick up a copy of this book. And everyone safe, blessed, and stay safe. Bye for now.